Hey, hi, good morning, all. In the Sunday morning, I am Vivek Kumar from Mysore School of Architecture, and welcome you all to the talk series. Today, I have with me Sandeep. We'll be taking you through this talk series. So, first, I'll introduce myself. I'm Vivek, and I have been teaching here since almost 7 years now, not exact 7 years now. And in these 7 years, my most of the association has been with younger students of art. And so when this idea was floated, like a dialogue series has been happening, and if given the opportunity, what is this topic that you would like to talk about? I thought I should, associate this with the something that is very close to my heart is my education. And my education, the first year was very important, and which I always recall. If we because now into the profession and into the teaching, if I can make some contribution to what is happening, it will be something good. So I think this is what we are going to talk about. uh, I and Sandeep is also here. Sandeep has been with me since my first year. Hi Sandeep, what would you
I
like to say?
I think I'll introduce myself to the people over here actually first. Uh, uh, Basically, the reason why I was part of this particular conversation is my personal interest towards teaching first year students, especially. There have been a lot of opportunity in the past 5 years. I've been working only with first years and with great interest. And it's been challenging always. It's been and the beauty that I really enjoy with teaching first years is the amount of energy that develops in that small room every day, and it's constant throughout the entire semester. And I couldn't even there were opportunities came from teaching other semesters, but I couldn't miss that energy that is happening in that room. And that is my personal likenings towards the studio. And today, as Vivek sir mentioned, we'll be talking about our own observations about what we saw and what we believe, what we think is, maybe the right or wrong, or at least it's from our point of view, I'm saying. And sometimes we're going to focus on the majority of the people, and sometimes we're going to focus on the minority of the people. So please, if it is not you, if it is not you are not going to be the person that we're talking about, then it is not for you. So don't we're not judging anybody, we're just putting our thoughts on. So we think about that, and I think we'll start with the topic. And before
Yes.
that, I just want to know the audience that are available here in today's platform. So there is a quick poll that will pop up on your screen. If you can quickly answer that question, so we'll know who are the audience that are available here right now. So there are three possibilities. So
Okay.
that's how it's going to be there. Yeah.
Yes. You can see the result, and this was very much expected. Like all of most of these, 55% of you are students, and and I think this the talk that we are going to have is definitely about students, but a lot of faculty, the perception of how and where we should look at the students and the teaching differently, I think will be able to contribute to this. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, I think before we get into the bigger side, I think we should start with where the first year starts. The it is actually the choice that you make to have architecture as a career choice. To be into architecture. A lot of us usually understand what architecture is. We choose architecture as our you know uh, career consciously. A lot of us just do it because there is no other choice. Or maybe I think most of us, when we are joining architecture, are not very thorough of what architecture is going to be, and in fact, how the education is going to be. Education of architecture, the system of education that they're going to get into. So, the background they come from, the educational background specifically, is the PU system. The PU system, or what we call it as class 11th and 12th. Uh, by the time of these 12 years of education, school education, one is becoming more and more self-dependent. So more and more self-explanatory, self explorer.
Yes.
So it's like, in a system, something is introduced to you, and then you explore, you search, you discover, based on whatever has been uh, told to you. While, see, when you join architecture, suddenly you realize that you are starting with something very basic. You're like starting from uh, writing alphabets basically, and how to draw lines. So these kind of things are something, there is a drastic transformation that happens. It's a sudden change, and I'm not sure how different people may be taking it. But and we also don't ask students. But I think this is, I think, one moment we can do a small poll to identify whether the kind of this surprising change, or dramatic change in the system. Do you enjoy, or do you like this change? Is it a positive change, or do you are like, you don't like, you think the way the system was going, if it would have continued, it would have been better? So what is it, Sandeep, can we do this small poll?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your view on the fact on this, that this change in the education system was a good, healthy change?
Can we end the poll?
Okay, so we are ending the poll, and 94% people say that it is a very good change. Now we are switching from a system of self-dependence. We are switching from a place where we are very, we are able to learn by ourselves. If you changing into a system where you are being, which some people call it as, spoon feeding, because you have to start from very basic. We have to hold your hand, and we have to tell you. In fact, we have to demonstrate to you how to write, how to draw a line. So many people like it. But understand, by the end of the 5 years, we again expect you to be self-dependent, explorer. You should explore on your own. That is what we again expect you. So the 12 years of journey of becoming self-dependent has to mold itself into again becoming a self-dependent in these 5 years. So we start with something that is very basic, where there is a dramatic change, but then the second change, I think, it does not happen. You become dependent on your faculty. You become dependent on almost everything that the faculty is saying. So I think the second change which is there has to happen in these 5 years, and it has to be gradual. So I think the entire first year itself is the orientation to change. Okay, so some of these things that we observe in our first year is the studio culture. So how are these studios different from classrooms where you have been before? So classroom is mostly a one-way thing where someone is telling you something and you just take down the knowledge. Now, while in a studio we expect a lot of things. We expect there's a communication. Definitely, which is a common, but there is a more one-to-one interaction, and it is a more personalized form of intervention that goes in from a teacher side, because the students, they come from different backgrounds. Not only just educational background, language, culture, family backgrounds are different, and their grasping powers are different. Maybe someone can learn a particular skill very easily, while the others may take more time. Okay, so as a faculty, as a first year faculty, we have to understand, what is, is going with one of these students. What is the potential? Where can someone maybe help? Or, is it like, a particular student has to be given more time? So this kind of personalized intervention that goes in from the faculty side is also sometimes maybe I don't know, maybe taken not very positively by the students. It's like, they don't want someone to know, how much I know, or what skills I have. So there is a lot of resistance to it. We also do some of these other things like team group work, working in teams, which is a new thing for them. Mostly they have been working individually, and so when they are suddenly made to work together, there is sometimes some kind of conflict. No, but understand, all these things that we do in a studio, we are trying to impart you some of these skills which were not there. If the skills would have been there, we would have maybe started differently. So it is like we are starting from very basic. So all these skills are coming from very basic. We are introducing you to skills. We are introducing you to tools together with the knowledge that has to be achieved in these 5 years. So these skills, there are so many skills like we just listed. Starting from communication skills to writing to drawing to be able to communicate through the architectural media. So it happens very gradually. And a lot of times people doubt, as students, because they don't know the overall picture. What architect does is they know that okay, they design, but they are not aware that these skills will be started, and these skills are so the faculty is so particular about them. The line has to be a particular type, a line weight. So they don't understand in the very beginning what is the relevant of it. But I think we also have these fourth year, third year, fourth year students who will understand, will start making sense now. Like all these skills are important. Okay, so I think there is also a kind of misconception why to do all these manual skills when ultimately they have to work in an office with all these digital skills. They have to work on computers. So I think this kind of dilemma is always there because they see their own seniors working, the first year students, they see their seniors working on computers, and they think like, why is it needed? So maybe I think Sandeep will do another poll to get this perception of whether, do you think these skills, which of these skills are more important? First is manual, A for manual and B for digital skills.
For first year students, especially to start on with, right?
Yes, I think if we get even if we get perception from all, even including the faculty.
Okay.
Okay, I think we'll end the poll. Okay, by the end of the poll, we have the results as almost 75% people say that manual skills are very important, and digital skills. I think 31% people. I think they are not. I think saying exactly that the digital skills are important. That is important, but how early should this be included in the curriculum? I think that may be one thing. So I think these skills that we are imparting, more than just these skills and the tools. I think what is important is to learn why the skill, to be able to judge a particular skill, to be able to understand the application of a skill, to be able to judge what skills or what tools are better suited than the others. For example, this example that we often discuss, this happens in all of the model making class. We ask students to cut a piece of sheet with a steel scale and a cutter, and why is it that you have to cut? You can cut through a scissor also. And we see, in one of the classes, maybe the student hasn't brought one of the tools, so they just change their medium. You have to cut a square. I'll cut it with a scissor. So it's like, they are also question, what is the need? Why do we have to do it this way? So what I mean to say, why I have brought this point here is, there are some subconscious learning that is happening in the studio, which we are expecting you to learn, but it is subconscious. It's not like, we have to tell you, okay, by cutting through this is what you're learning. Definitely you also have to understand what is the difference in the tools, why a scissor is maybe more important. Where is scissor healthy? I think if you are cutting a curve like a circle, cutting it with a cutter would not be very, very comfortable. Instead, if you cut with scissor, the precision will be better, and maybe if you follow the curve exactly, you will get a better circle. While if you're cutting a straight line, there is more chances of the scissors to vary. And understand, it's not just the difference in the tools, but it is like the ability for the person to judge which tool to use where. If you are getting into this, maybe in future you are also getting into judge any other tool. For example, even in digital skills, whether to go for a SketchUp or whether to go for 3ds Max is something that you have to make choice based on different aspects. Okay, so Sandeep, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, basically, I think the first thing before talking about the skills, I would like to put up a point. This is what my understanding of thing is. I personally feel first year is just like a journey that you usually travel from one place to another place. But in this case, let's say if you imagine you're doing this is the first time you're traveling in your life and you're picking up or going by train, let's say, or by plane. So first year is not where you sit inside the plane and you start your journey. First year is what you do and stay at the platform. You prepare for the platform, right? You check before leaving your house twice. Okay, did I lock my house or not? Did I pack everything in my house? You plan something else. You plan for the entire journey. You plan what's going to happen. Some things you plan for some special occasions, right? No, okay, fine. Let me put another pair of jeans just in case if some rain happens, some adverse cases that happen. So you plan the entire journey before you reach the platform and what you do with the platform. Whatever you missed, you quickly buy those things and you'll be ready when the train comes or the plane comes to board the train. So for me, first year is all about that. You prepare for second year till fifth year and all the learning that you do for the rest of your life. You prepare that. And the problem, if you question that preparedness, is something that you would not repeat if you were supposed to travel second time or third time or fourth time. First time you might question, why should I prepare? I'll just go and stand in front of that. Good. So the next time you will know, I know that you will not do that. So this first semester or first especially comes with that knowledge of what you should prepare. So there are differences in terms of interests and likingness of towards subjects, but the skills is something that I believe becomes very important that we teach first years. For example, we have some mediums that are chosen because of their versatility. Vivek said already mentioned about cutting a circle is much better with a scissor, right? Than thing. So idea is to master a tool, not just use a tool. When I start do usually I teach graphics for first years. That's with again with lots of passion. I love this subject personally. But usually when I say draw a circle, this is something that a fifth year or 5 year old fifth class student can also do. But nobody asked me question why are we doing it again. Once they submit it and they see it is supposed to be, I believe that whenever the submission comes to me, I believe that I should be marking everybody 10 out of 10. This is a simple question. Draw a circle. But when I start marking, I'll see the variation right now. Students will see somebody just got 60%, somebody just got 50%. And I see like I don't see anybody questioning why they got 50%. Because draw the circle. Thank you very much. But no, you somebody got 9 out of 10. I don't see any queries. I was expecting always some queries like what is the thing right now. So the question is, we are not judging. You can draw the knowledge of you. Can you draw a circle or not? We are judging the skill that the circle that you have drawn today, and for the rest of your life, you would draw a circle. It will look same of a particular diameter. That is a skill we are talking about. The consistency of the skill that we are talking about. We want you to be mastering that thing, and mastering as drawing a circle should be easy. Mastering drawing a square should be easy. Mastering drawing a triangle should be easy. And if you actually master it, every single drawing that you do, let's say manually, for the rest of your life, in how complex it is based on these three forms. If you use the tool and if you done it and repeatedly you're doing it and it doesn't look a difference, done, job done. But this mastery is what I don't think people believe in. I think they just look for finishing the task, maybe. This is the thing that I'm talking.
Yes.
Purpose, they lose it. Purpose of the skill. Finishing the task is not the purpose. Mastering the skill is the purpose, I believe. What do you say?
Yes, Sandeep. Yes, in fact, Sandeep, there are definitely these very obvious aspects. Like you through these works, you able to see there is a wide. It's not just a circle, or it's not just a cut that you have made, but there are so many intermediate forms, outputs that can be there. So that what variety is. You also start appreciating few of the things. So a lot of learning that is subconscious, like I mentioned, it happens through these skills while learning these skills. Maybe sometimes it is not that you are expected to learn just the skill itself, but the mindset of looking at these skills. Being very subjective at it, looking. In fact, I think after cutting so many things, I have started making sense. The material that you are cutting, whether it's a thin paper or a thick paper, or is it a butter sheet or a foam board, there is something to do with the material thickness. So this is not something that maybe every time you can observe, but it is over time. By doing something, you realize, you start looking at things in more detail. There is some kind of art appreciation also that happens. There is some kind of other development that is there, but it is in subconscious form.
The critical thinking has to develop, right, Vivek? For example, if I'm using the cutter right now, I'm pulling towards me, right? Pulling towards me. But if I'm using, for example, scissor, the interaction is completely opposite. I'm pushing towards the paper right now. So this difference is you have to understand. You are examining the tool as a student right now, learning the tool. You have used scissors, you have used cutters all your life before also, but now you're using as a professional tools, not a regular home craft making tools right now. And you have to admire these tools and understand and master those tools than just using those tools like any common person. And this skills is going to be based on that only. And if that approach is not taken away, it's about completing the task. It becomes more important than mastering the tool. That the whole story shifts right now. That is where I think we can go to the next agenda that we have.
Yes. So it is, there is something that we want you to realize. We expect you to realize. There's something that we want you to discover by getting engaged into these tasks, these activities that you do. So a lot of times the students' engagement is at so much of surface level that they are only concerned about the output. Their ultimate task is just to finish the task. That is, rather than, in fact, what I appreciate is, even if some student comes with incomplete work, but he has achieved, he has discovered, he has realized what we expected him to realize. And this is not something that we can objectively put on a board saying, this is what we want you to realize, this is what we want you to discover. It has to be self-discovered. That is how, it gets imbibed into a personality, into a character.
The point is reality, even though this is our expectation that's from the students, but what really the conversation ends up right now is a student walking up to me, is it okay, sir? He's not starting with what he experienced while doing the work. He just starts, is it okay, sir? And he just wants two answers, yes or no. Okay, sir, or no, sir. If he says no, sir, he'll go back to his body. So why no, sir? Nobody's asking. But I want the question of why okay, sir, also. Why this is okay for you? If it's okay if I say, but why the question is not happening, neither the conversation happening. And we try to create the conversation, but when we started creating the conversation, then they start thinking. But the idea is supposed to be they have to express themselves first, right? So this kind of my expectation of reality happens. They stick to the submission part, what is done, but not what we have done in the past 1 hour with it. Nobody cherishes that moment and understand this is something new I'm doing. I'm doing lettering again, which I used to do long ago. I'm to write ABCD again, 1, 2, 3 again. So there is some kind of a different approach to writing ABCD. It is not writing, just putting 2 letters beside each other or 2 words in a sentence. That is what we learned when we started doing when we did LKG or UKG or kindergarten maybe. But now we are not looking just for that. We're looking more than that. But people still tend to look at, I've done my ABCD right now, sir. Thank you. Is it okay? Kind of without trust that happens there.
Yes, Sandeep. In fact, this connects to the fact that the more time we keep giving them like redos. This is a common thing. Say, okay, you haven't achieved this. We expect you to realize something, discover something, but you haven't done it. So okay, let's do it one more time. And a lot of thing goes into the student to realize what he is trying to get, and that takes a lot of time. So there's a lag between the time and the work, and that efficiency that we're expecting between time and work gets compromised somewhere. And it is largely because that communication has not happened. Now, if you get precisely what is expected for you to learn, and that happens at a very intimate level, on a not at the central desk where the student has to come to you and be very fearful about that. That is another aspect. They should not be taking it in the wrong way, but it has to happen at more on the table. That the faculty goes to the table and says, "See, this is what we are expecting you to achieve." Maybe sometimes we do say something that we don't have to they have to discover it, but we actually over and over demonstration we get through it. So it's a two-way process.
I remember you mentioning, right, when faculty, especially in the first year, we have to do a personalized approach, especially in the initial years, to understand what they believe in, how they work, what they like. So this should, again, as a two-way process, as you said, like it comes from their side also, isn't it? They should also be as expressive about, sir, this is very tough problem. I managed to somehow finish it and give it to you today. Okay, this comes as an informal approach, but no, for architectural education, especially first year, I think this is not informal. This is being truthful and observant about what happened with you when you're doing this task. You have to not just go and submit and every entire 40 students are going to say, but other some person is going to come and say, I love this, sir. Yesterday I learned something new. I got something. I'll tell you what I learned. He's explaining that, but everybody is focusing in a line and just saying that, sir, submission. Sheets. I have to put a mark. Okay, thank you. Unless he sees a redo or a red mark, he's going to worry about it. Unless that, he's actually satisfied. So slowly, I think if this purpose can actually work like that way, this both is truly their speaking. What I'm experiencing, I'm telling to them, and what they're experiencing, they're telling to me. This submission is as a means for this talk to happen, for this discussion to prolong further into things. And as mentioned, there is a limit of time also for this. But I think nobody would like to miss this if it is possible. They'll make extra time for this. I think.
The other thing, in the whole thing, when you have to communicate with the faculty, someone which was not the medium of education before, no? So there is a lot of resistance to this kind of a change, where you have to be vocal about your own shortcomings. This kind of thing was not there before. But now suddenly you have to switch into this mode where if you are not knowing something, you will have to, talk in front of your friends or maybe in front of the faculty that, this thing you are not able to achieve, something which we are terming it as very basic, drawing a line, writing a letter in a particular way or cutting a piece of paper. So we see that there is a resistance to change because of certain notions in your own mind. Yes. So
it happens even through comparison also, right? In the first time they enter the room and they see somebody and they decide, oh, he's good at this, so I am bad at this. That is where they decide and they stop doing that. Every time this work happens, you talk now, who will talk on the stage, so that person will talk. But when is this comparison stops you to become better? I would suggest comparison should be inspirational, where, not the result, the process. Oh, this person has interest in this is the thing process he followed. That's how he is good at this right now. So if I want to develop that particular approach, I can also follow the process and do it. But it limits the people's mentality. Comparison stops them to think, and that it should be observation, not a decision maker. Oh, somebody is better and so on, right?
Yes. So the other aspects that we identify, it's an everyday struggle. With not just the students, maybe a lot of us may be facing this is the procrastination. That happens with students, and this word is highly misinterpreted. Maybe sometimes, So recently, Sandeep introduced me to this video where we came to know, there were some things that were introduced about procrastination. And it is about, the purpose of procrastination is to have something to achieve a better creativity, a more creative output. So instead of directly finalizing taking a decision, what you do is you take some time, going through all alternatives or how something can be improved. And then you make a choice. So that is something that is called as procrastination. But what is happening these days, is something, it's making you lazy. It's a lazy filter. What it does is you say that, okay, I have to work on my design, but I will work on my design after some time because right now I am not in the mood. So instead of utilizing the time for thinking, about developing a creative idea, what you are doing is you are spending the time, but you are just prolonging the initiation of the design process. I think that is one place where our students are definitely struggling with what I see, even in the first year.
I agree with every single point. That is like everyday process that we see. People take a break before the work of it, not after the work. Nobody's planning like I'll finish this fast and then take a break. Happy Sunday. Nobody is planning that Sunday is a holiday that will come end of the story. They'll put all the work for Sunday. That is the first mistake that every first year student does. They put all the work that they have today to Sunday, and which is supposed to be do your work on entire week, and Sunday you just have fun, little bit of relax right now and prepare for next week. Sunday was supposed to be future, but it has come like that other way around. It has become the tail right now. So that is the usual mistake, right? And one other point that comes to from this point of struggles right now from student side is satisfaction. In a sense, when if there is a group of students, the tasks in first year according to me are very simple, especially the skill level tasks that we usually give. For example, already I mentioned draw a circle. As some person who has not got, I already mentioned 8 of 5 or 6 out of 10, let's just say, that is what somebody thinks his work is. Why is he not questioning? A person who is questioning only if I put 0 out of 10, immediately he'll question, why sir? Immediately he'll question. He's protecting his self thing there. When if I put 0, immediately the reaction is, why sir? I've done the job. He'll start defending mode, full on. Good. But if I put a 6 or a 5, which is actually reality, I should not put 0, which is what I think the work is just suggested. He decides that no. But can it be possible that can I to take the same thing, for example, to a he's satisfied? I am not ready to 0 name, I'm just happy with 6. But is it okay if I compare the same mentality to food? Somebody serves you a food and tells, so this is the 5 rating food. Will you eat it? Everybody wants 10 only, right? Everybody, everywhere in terms of your future thing, everything ends up like they're saying that food, we don't do anything, any differences like that. Good food is good food. Task is completed. Or if it's not good, it is bad only. It is 0 or 10. It is not the between satisfaction. Why don't we see, especially this initial important basic skills or tasks that they're given, take it as that way. If I'm not able to reach the top level, then I have to start again from that bottom. Why they are confident or composed in this field also, where I'm getting average. Because this is going to be an important step for the next 5 years. If I don't learn it right now, nobody is going to help them out. Nobody is going to teach them again. They'll not have time to even work on this. Unless maybe after 5 years, maybe they'll get time. Maybe if they actually can manage. But in the next 4 years that they're going to learn, they're not going to get any time. And the satisfaction comfort zone is not a good idea. Learning stops if they're in the zone actually.
Yes, Sandeep. This example that you gave, I liked this, where you say that if you are ordering food and you are expecting 10 out of 10 because this you have paid for it, and if someone is giving you food that is just 4 or 5 out of 10, how can you be satisfied? You are paying for it the same way you are paying for education. If you are paying for education and you are not learning, or you are not satisfied with the way the education is being imparted to you, why are you not vocal about it? I am definitely sure you will fight with the guy in the restaurant if you are not served good food. Why not here? Why are you not vocal about it? Why don't you come forward, mention it? Something is not right. Okay.
Very strong point. Actually, people should understand that how much money and time, 5 years of architecture is requires. You are investing that much of time and money, and if you only not able to justify it to yourself first, I am doing my part, other people are not doing their part, then the work thing. If you are not able to talk about you, what is my part? What is my understanding of what should I do with the time and money that I'm investing in this particular thing? What I think is my level of expectations is, my potential reach is, my benchmarks are, my goals are. If they are also not able to figure out, I think we are there to help them, but they should at least approach right now. We can't create this right. Yeah.
Yes, another thing that we are more concerned, I thought we should definitely talk about this aspect is, the hardships that the students are facing with the structure subject. Okay, I remember all of us have come from, most of us have come from engineering background, we, science background. So we have been good at physics, at maths, or, if not great, but all of us have passed, right? We have cleared these subjects, physics and mathematics, and we are expected to learn some of these in our subjects like structure. We are not expecting to create structural engineers out of these students. but these are to be understood in a very basic way so that they can, maybe during their practice, they are able to communicate or understand, or in basic, small, simple designs, they are able to understand how the structure is going to function. But we see that structure is one place where they struggle the most, So this one question came to my mind. I think we'll take a small poll on this. Is structures, structures. Imagine if the structures was a part of your PU syllabus. Do you think you would have excelled better than what you are doing now here in architecture? So this poll is there. If you agree that you would have performed better in structures when you were in PU than in architecture. Okay, that's it. I think we'll end the poll. Okay, we see that 70% students, 70% of the audience do agree that if they were in PU or class 12, they would have performed better in structures. I think one of the reasons is because there was this extension of knowledge, or there was a continuity which was there in understanding these. Okay, which is suddenly changed. But understand, if you take this as a change rather than as an addition, you start struggling. So it is just the mindset. No, if someone has said the structure subject is difficult, and if you take it that way, if you start believing in everything without judging, without questioning, then it is definitely it is going to be a different subject for you.
That decision maker is a problem actually. Structures is not for me. I'm like, structures is not my interest. Structures is not my cup of tea. I accept I like those statements in fact. But acting on those statements in a very early years of 5 years, you didn't even complete education. You acquire everything that you paid for. You paid for these things, like you mentioned. You acquire everything, learn everything, do the best that you can, and then decide which is the way that you want to take. Maybe you could be the person who can collaborate all these knowledge into together and create something very new right now. Creativity is all about exposure towards knowledge that is available, right? And if you have very limited knowledge and in the first year only you make a decision that structures is not my interest. Other subjects are also there in the list, which every student will know. It's not one subject; it's more than one subject usually. And this is not my interest. At a very early age, who gave you an opportunity or choice to even decide right now? And you are so happily vocal about it. I can't do. Like it's very common. It has become a common trend actually, and people are actually accepting on it and deciding and working on it. Like I will never start structures. No, try first. I've tried. It should come because you are from science background. It is some mindset change have to if it comes. You should be able to do it. And according to my knowledge of structures, what we teach in bachelor's of architecture, especially, it doesn't go beyond 12th class level also. It doesn't go beyond 12th class level also. If you are in engineering department right now at this choice, you already got advanced physics and advanced approach of doing structural calculations or mathematics or physics or part of it. This is very basic. Trigonometry, I would end up the entire structures, for example, to start with in the first semester is based on trigonometry for me. That we already learned back in 10th also. Application of that. There is nothing more. Oh no, not for me, not my interest. I think this is wrong. According to me, deciding so early of age what is not good, what is good for you is very interesting. What is not good for you? Do it. Be part of it. Don't run away from it. If you still decide this is not what you want to pursue as your career tomorrow, don't do it. Nobody is forcing you to. But take your time to understand. Go through the 5 years. Be with it. Not with hate. Not with interest also. Put a neutral ground there at least for some more time before deciding that this is not mine. And one important suggestion I want to give you: whenever you decide on such opinions, the best way that like we also have different opinions, but teaching a design studio, doing a particular way of doing it. First thing that we do is we vocalize out. Then we get different opinions. Maybe I'm looking at one way only. The other person is looking at other way. Then we compare and create an entire plan for you. But by the time students come in front of us, especially first years, which we don't know what they were before, until the day we met, the entire plan again changes. So we are so open-minded. There is something that I believe which is wrong. There is something that I believe should not be done. But my team, my entire students are telling me otherwise. They want that. So I have to keep changing my thoughts and be creative in this thing. And let's see how this one goes.
Yes, one of the other things, of not performing in selected subjects or not being very good at some of these skills, is largely affects, your performance and, the aspect of judging yourself or maybe your parents judging you, or, the whole peer comparison that happens is with respect to marks. And, I think one of the things that I observed in architectural colleges, in all different architectural colleges, is, it is said that, the marks do not matter. What do you think? I think we should do a poll on this, because it is such a subjective aspect. This has to be a yes or no answer. In architecture, which is very subjective, what do you think? Do marks matter? Yes, no.
Great.
Should it matter? Should it not matter?
Yeah, shall we end it?
Yes. I think we can end it here. So, marks do not matter is what 83% people say, that the marks don't matter. And this is like, one of the myths, I should say. What do you say, Sandeep?
Yeah, true. That's it. I will tell you, this is the myth that I've fallen for when I was a student of architecture, and I still regret. Marks are not important, maybe in that particular context, a very different context, which I don't think students especially understand this context. The person who is saying it, especially the experienced person who is using this statement, he knows the context where he's saying right now. But people take it, marks are not important. I'm not going to work for marks. I don't understand. Marks are for me like it's a currency of education right now. Basically, that is what you're trading off on. You deserve something, you get something. If you have deserved, you've done good building or good design, you want that much deserving money right now, if in profession right now. And if you don't do a good job, you will not get good money in terms of profession again. So why can't the same approach can be taken in terms of that? It is to evolve and understand mistakes and see the possibilities of future, not to limit ourselves with he is better. We already mentioned that comparison part. The problem is comparing the marks right now and deciding somebody's fate or future is wrong. That we are not promoting at all. A marks is a self-evaluation tool for myself, not for people to judge me in a bigger scale. No, I don't think so. I think marks are self-evaluative for me. I have reached a level of 6 right now. Any game that you play, everywhere there is an evaluation tool right now. How many points you got? You think marks? This is entertainment. This is not enjoyment. There should be no marks. I think that is a scale that is of self-evaluating, not for future judging. Every people play PUBG and they start removing the number of kills right now in the list. Do you think they're not important anymore? I think that is the one that defines for me to grow a better job right now. Yes, promoting, using that number for removing people from the list of it for the future advantage or future plans and everything, that is approach is wrong. Judging that person with that mark is wrong. But I think in the process of 5 years of education, until you're doing education, marks are important in my opinion. What do you think, Vivek?
Yes, in fact, this marks thing, it is not like, if someone is not performing good, it is happening in only one of the subjects. If it is like that, it's good. But if it is happening across the subjects, that tells about your overall, commitment to education. How much your interest lies towards learning. Also, we are not expecting all of you to, excel everywhere. At least find one of the things where you are good at and you should perform there. This education system often, I recall this cartoon where, education system is shown as a factory where people of all different, type, line, color, they enter from one side, and when they come out on the other side to the factory, it's like a factory, so they all get converted into the same product, which we are not expecting, which is why we also don't expect that all of you excel equally in all these subjects. And we want you to discover what your likes are, what you discover what you are good at, and make a further choice accordingly. So I think this is one aspect which is
Focus can also shift on what I don't like in a year. Focus to shift on what I like the most. And it can't be one of the subjects. You have 8 subjects introduced every year. And you can't just say one of the subjects only is my interest topic. That limits the entire possibility of architecture that we talk about. The entire vast spectrum of architecture we talk about. It misses out if I say I only like one subject. The connection makes it, the connection between 2, 3, 4 different approaches towards building a particular space, designing a particular space is what it makes a better space. If I just look at one point of view, then it's finished. According to me, that space is one approach, right? Multifaceted approach is the only right way. So at least strengthen your what are my interests and always keep a majority number compared to what I hate. At least have that graph that way. Don't have lots of list of hate and less list of interested. This is my interesting subject. But usually that only happens, right? Because all the subjects are meant to be prepare you for a better designer of a space, right? And usually the list of hate is more and list of likeness is only one. This is my favorite color. I think this is not that kind of a choice we're making here. Don't do that kind of choices in this thing. Because it's okay, it's a personal approach right now.
Yes, and once you realize, what is it that you like, what is it that is pulling you to coming to college every day, you will start enjoying, whether you like it, whether you enjoy it, or whether it is joy or pain for you to come to college is only when you start having a more individual approach to selected things and what goes in a college, and the whole aspiration, what you wanted to become, what you expect, the dreams, the white collar job thing that you initially started with, that thing in mind. If where do you see this happening, and what is it that in the studio, in the college that will take you there. So you have to keep all that alive, and then it will be fun. This this notion of fun is also has been very contradictory till now. It is assumed by people that if I don't study, that is what fun is. While the fun is in whatever you do. If you're liking what you do, if you have found that thing, where you like the thing in college, you'll start enjoying it. So the fun is not separate from your work. We say that architecture is a way of life. You cannot separate architecture and then have fun. It has to be imbibed within. The other aspect is one thing that we get as a feedback from the industry. The industry demands are often, it is said that they say that the new batch of people that we are getting are not very good at maybe there is something with the educational system that is causing all these. So what they say is, these students who have come, they are not very creative. They are not different. They are all, the same, the factory product, like I just said. So what is it that is making them these factories? I think in our system, somewhere we have to identify that these initial skills or, these traits that they have, which make them different from each other, which we see on the very first day, should not be compromised with. At the end of the 5 years, when they are reaching, the 5 years, when they are into their thesis, we have to see to it that their initial likes, their initial characteristics, someone used to like to write, someone used to have his or her own blog. These kind of students, they should not be compromising with, their own characters and become something else at the end of these 5 years. I think this is also very much responsible to contribute to the variety that we are lagging in architecture these days in profession. So this is one of my observations.
mentioned right now, since success we have already touched upon the topic. There is one question, observation that I always seem to be doing in the past 2 years is there is always one guy who does really good at structures, or he or she right now. But and compared to the other people, he who has actually completely left the subject to something that is not important or not interesting. But when I see the 4 years pass by, and I look for the topics of his choice right now, his interest. I'm talking about a skill-based thing, not as an interest-based thing. He already mastered that particular approach from day one, structure subject. And his inclusion of that topic is not part of the thesis topic. That's it. Again, his interest. So he has found a different interest possible, which is I'm really happy that that happened. But he could have clubbed this also, right? If that interest. That is what makes it even a better challenge is for it. And he's already prepared for it. But I see that end of the day, even though everybody has this very conceived or unchanged vision, interests in the first year, slowly they all come to the same thing. Everybody comes to the same observation, same understanding of what we should do. Their personal individuality is completely lost. When I say individuality, it is not what I decide to do. It is what is my vision to become. And what do I want to be part of? You're not alone here. You are part of something, but what is my role in that part, in that big group, right? And people tend to lose that and they say, we all same. We all do the same thing. If they go back in their own memory of 3 years, I think they'll be able to find and incorporate them and get it back again. They lose out what they're at least really good at completely because it just goes off in the fades off as the year goes by. The commonality becomes the trade approach for as you go 1 year by year. And we try to capture as much as that in first year, try to keep it as strong, strengthen it, try as much as possible in the first year itself so that they don't lose out so fast, as the year goes up. This is their.
Yes, Sandeep, one of these other things that I listed down, I just went through it. It says, these students these days, when they just come for the internship or when they join the profession, they, some of these skills, they're not very patient. Maybe, they are not very, they do not take things. Maybe they haven't gone through enough hardships that we are expected to take them. So I recall when, in older days, this is what it used to be. Lot of workload, lot of work pressure, lot of expectations, outputs we used to produce, and we were often shouted upon, which I don't think is so common these days. No one shouts. The faculty is really very friendly with all these students. And when these students, for example, this instance, I got this feedback from one of these students. In her office, she was shouted upon, and she was then, she decided that maybe, I'm not fit for practice. Maybe I will not work in any of these offices. So the way you take, all that, I think we are preparing you for this. If we are doing a correct, if we are shouting on you, there's a purpose to it. Like we said, this subconscious thing that has to be developed in yourself is, is already there. And if you are not taking it, in the right sense, is something where I think this is, it just came to me, so I just talked about it. Okay, some of these things that are lined up now is, what is it that is better these days than what we had, maybe 10 years ago, is the knowledge is available readily. Teachers, faculties, in fact, colleges are just a medium to certify that, okay, you have had enough knowledge, but the source to knowledge is infinite. There is this age of internet, everything is available online, and maybe it is not clear what, to what amount it has to be learned, but it is already there. I think one of the things that we should do as a part of first year is we should give the early exposure, to this infinite, vast world of knowledge. What we do is it's only by the end of 5 years that they decide, okay, this is what I want to specialize in, or maybe they do it after 5 years. I think the level to which we expose our students is very limited. they are exposed to very few things, and the choice making does not happen. There is no intermediate time. So I think, what do you say, Sandeep, about this?
The same approach, like, the maximum information that I can give, information about that, not the deeper in expectation that he has to excel in that particular do something with the information. Introduction of information, and that too with no limits. If he's interested, not interested is not the question. It's like he knows there is a possibility of this information that is related to architecture, and that has to be introduced with, not because he's of age limit or his maturity limit, understanding, not about that. It should be just given its purpose, that he, as the day goes by, that subconsciously he make a right decision or make a right choice or combine choices right now into 2 3, so that he has possibility. Basically, we are creating exposure right now, which he can also get it from internet, right? And if he's already getting the information freely from every sources, who are we to stop the limit, right? Put a limit to that information. The application part is again in his hands. We can guide him to do a better application. We are just a guide to apply right now. So information is already there, which he only can get it. So the problem is, if we can't limit the information anymore, which usually we usually say this is too early for first years, this is too early for fourth years, that kind of approach. I think the information is out there. Application, if you want to do, is you can do. People are doing robots right now in fifth year, looking at YouTube videos and on learning right now. So it is their interest that picks up that. Information limitation is not on a general basis, is not our choice. Individual basis, it is difficult for this person, I understand. Even difficult for this common people of, where is the definition of this commonality anymore? I don't think there is no definition of commonality anymore. With the amount of information that is coming and people are accessing every day on their devices right now, the communal generalization of what is the capabilities of this particular age or limit is very varied. The spectrum has increased. These general decisions of putting this age limit or is not going to work right now. Maybe we also experienced in the past 5 years, some of the batches are really energetic in terms of different approaches, and the other ones are completely opposite of that. We have to change the entire system of designing teaching studios for them right now. So one was completely their own choice based thing, one was completely analyzing based things, and so somebody who's going to sit and work, do and then observe. Somebody want to create and then produce the explanation of that, justification of that. So we will continuously change that thing, and we can't just keep one approach there.
Okay, we are a little short of time. We'll move a little faster.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have listed on few things. I think, if we, what can be done about whatever our observations are, where is the role of faculty and where is the role of student, how should we go ahead with this? We have listed down a few things. I think there is one of the important aspects is to be receptive to change. We should be very open-minded. You should take things positively. And, the problem with being very fixed and very rigid about something is like you are not ready to accept, and that is where maybe it is because you do not believe enough in your teacher what they think. Maybe we can do a small poll. Maybe we have just 10-15 more minutes. We'll just do the small poll. We are asking, I think most of you will say yes, but what we are asking is, have you always believed in your teacher, in whatever they have asked you to do in the studio? Have you always believed, or have you doubted? So if you have believed, yes.
Super.
Okay. Okay, so 60% people, they say that, okay, they believe in their teacher. Okay, so it's a good thing. But 40% people, they say that they often doubt what they are going through. Does it really make sense? Why is it being done? I think one of the important things here is what I believe in. What to be you should have a blind faith in what your faculty has planned for you, because there is nothing that is personal from the teacher side. He's not expecting something in return from you. Whatever he's doing is for your own benefit. So you should have a complete devotion to him. Definitely, after some time, in future, sometimes that whatever was intended was something good. It was for you. So you should have a strong belief in teacher. Some of these other aspects that we have listed down is, the role of teacher is.
I get one small.
Yes.
I have a different opinion on that. I completely expect both the people, right? Who has 40%, 60%. I want all of them to exist in my studio, and say that if especially the second part who is doubting what's happening in the studio, if they are not vocal about it, the problem is they look for a group of people. When they're all agreeing to that point, then they vocalize it. We didn't understand this. Why it comes we? That is the problem. That's again that entire thing goes on. If actually I would like people to say, I don't know why are we doing. What is the purpose of this task? If you have doubt in purpose of this task or purpose of your belief, why are you believing the faculty? Why are you doubting the faculty? There is a bigger reason here. Because he's going to make me what I want to become. You're doubting that this thing is not going to help me out, or you are agreeing that if I follow this, it will help me out. So both are good, but when you doubt, express. Don't doubt inside and just sit there and never do it. If you doubt, express, convince, you'll believe again to the same part. But at the end of the day, the idea is everybody has to believe in the person who is leading the team, leading the room right now. But if you have doubt, express, but people stop it. Then again, they are the ones who are first ones to lose out the entire, that 1 hour or 2 hours of time they spend there. They lose out because they were doubting it. Doubting should be expressed, and especially in a creative studios like us, industry like us, I think the hierarchy is almost seamless right now. There is no higher person and lower person, especially in a studio discussion, design discussions. It is basically sharing our thoughts from the knowledge that we gathered till now, from our exposure. So you come from a different background, you have a different approach right now. Nobody's ridiculed, no idea is taken higher or thing. And as a team, we decide what is the good for us to go forward to achieve our own personal goal. Simple as that.
Okay, so we have some of these other aspects. What can be done? Where what has to be developed? We'll just maybe take it as a list, Sandeep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think passion is something that is very important. All of us should be very passionate, and passion is not something that happens overnight. So it takes a little time, and if you start dreaming, thinking about maybe this will help. And this is a fuel that is, a never-ending fuel. If you have that passion, it will take you a long way. You will become self-dependent very early in your life. The other things are, patience. You should have a lot of patience. You should wait for, to discover what is there lined up. Confidence. Motivation should be there. There is definitely a role of faculty also to motivate, but self-motivation has to be there, and peer motivation has to be there. I think some of these things, and you should start feeling responsible very early. The profession in which you are expected to do big things. Understand that immediately after 5 years, you are eligible to practice. You are going to design for someone, and you cannot be dependent on, someone else. Okay.
If you have limited passion in the early stages of architecture, maybe it is not entirely your choice to start architecture. But if you really feel responsible of the time and money you're investing in it, I think you still can do the job until you find the passion in this thing. And because I personally believe you spend time with architecture and you make it part of your lifestyle, I think architecture will give you some education. 5 years will give you something or other to do something with your life as a career, not just being an architect. But you completely ignore the possibility when you say, I don't have passion in it, so I don't do anything here. It's not like necessarily you have to start with a passion in the early age, right? Continue.
Okay. Some other things, you should be, you should spend some time alone. You should be a little introspective, be analytical, evaluate yourself, whether are you on the path of, the destination, what you had planned for yourself. And there should be a quest, that the quest has to be there. There should not be a journey without a destination. That you should be very clear about. And there should be a lot of rigor. This is, I think, one thing that maybe I think, as students also sometimes I have doubted also myself, whether is it like too much that I am doing, it is not required, So I think one final poll that we are doing before we go into the concluding part of this, the poll is: do you think the rigor that we are putting in our system, education system, is it like too much? Is it expecting too much of hard work from you?
No, we'll try harder. We'll start
Okay.
at the end flow and I'll share the results. It is interesting to see this result actually.
Okay. So the results say that it is not enough. There's not a lot of rigor. There's not a lot of hard work that we are expecting. You know, I think it is. In fact, the amount of hard work becomes more. That the expectations become more if you are not performing enough. So it has something to do with the pace at which you work. It has something to do with the time. The refinement that you do in between the reviews. Uh, so the quantum of rigor is there for lessons that definitely varies with students, but it is up to you how you respond to them. Okay, we'll move to the concluding part now, Sudeep.
Yes.
Uh, we have often believed, all of us, we keep saying this: architecture is different, architects are different, we are different. No, we say, we are different from engineering students also. If we have lived with them, we see. But I think what makes the architecture different is the education uh, that transforms you from where you were on joining in the first year to what you become. And understand, what you are going to become is not something very objective. We are not expecting all of you to become an architect. So very early we also say that there is so much that is there, and the choices that you can make in future, this will still be open for a long time for you. So architecture is different, but to realize what is it that is different, what is it that has made you different, happens only by self-discovery. Okay, it is not like I can write it in a book or we can give you a reference of read this book and you'll understand what is different in architecture. It has to be experienced to understand. And more than just that, it is the more than just the discovery of what is different is also to discover architecture. And like I said, architecture is also not very objective. Recently, every day we are discovering what is it that is also architecture. Recently, only we have seen that the research into architecture has taken up pace, and so it is also objective. People can have their own interpretations of architecture based on what they explore, how they explore, and together with that, it's a discovery of self. When you have your own meaning of something, it is like that is your own, very personal. So it is something that you have earned on your own. So it's a discovery of self. And believe me, by the end of all of these things, it is everything starts making sense. Whatever your teacher has put you through, starting from the very first year when it didn't make any sense, but gradually over the 5 years, some of them started making sense. Believe me, once you are into your life, as you're already adult, but if you are even as the time goes by, you'll understand everything will start making sense to you. This thing that we wanted you to have your own personality, all of this you will earn. You'll it's not something to learn, you will earn on your own. So this is what we expect. We take you to all these infinite source of knowledge. We expect you to learn because this is what is there in future. We are a field, a profession which is changing every day. Every day something updates, and what we do in these 5 years just an orientation, just you, and the end of these 5 years is only the beginning. The end of these 5 years is only the beginning of you're learning. There's yet something to discover and learn. Okay, so that is it. Sandeep.
Yeah, I think that will be a good conclusion to leave it. It was fantastic, guys. I mean, there are, frankly speaking, we have many more to talk about actually, but we decided to put a limit for this, and we would like to take up this conversation anytime, somewhere. If we'll share some maybe mail IDs, we are open to talk about this because that is how we also want to learn. Whatever perspectives or things that we share today is actually till today what we think of things. Tomorrow things are going to change for us, and maybe we'll learn new things, and maybe after 5 years, 10 years, maybe we'll put up an entire different perspective of this thing what we just presented today. So that is the belief that we have, and learning, understanding, looking at things keeps changing as we keep open-minded right now. So let's keep that happening, and thank you all for listening to us. I hope this was a good use of your time, and there are so many of interesting charts that I see, uh, thing that I see right now in the chat box. And personally, we try to avoid in terms of portraying more of a solution based thing, because solution suggesting is one thing, being part of system and accepting those solutions is different part. So I completely respect the idea where the solutions come from. We also believe the same thing. We are also part of it, but being a part of the system thing, making sense of it to the user, that is student right now, is more important than talking about something is better than what is happening right now. Something is always better than what's happening right now. But making the people understand right now, okay, what is there in front of you is also worthy enough. Also, is something that we're looking for. So we just put out our observations rather than our solutions that we practiced in our classrooms usually. And I think points that was especially students raised in the earlier session, I think we discussed is, for example, you people ask, how do you do it? I think the system is very clear. You have the entire 5 year syllabus in front of you. You have everything that you're going to learn in 5 years in front of you. You can start doing a dictionary definition of all the subjects at least. You don't wait for fourth year to happen to understand what is sociology in architecture. You start your basic inquiry about this in the first semester only, in your, on a Sunday you just open dictionary and think what is sociology. Don't wait for people to come and talk this is sociology, this is assignment pattern. Learn, look, keep it open for learning in the initial stages. This is answering to the Chenmai's question actually. To explore some aspects to exercise, one has to have sensitivity towards this. Sensitive yourself before that happens. Don't wait for it. What if that sensitivity is lacking and there is resistance towards exploring? If it is resistance toward exploring is, I would suggest if you are resistant toward exploring new things, at least be strong about your opinions, not in your head, on public platforms. If you are stronger at something and if you start getting this different feedbacks from different people, then you understand your explore. You have to increase your exploration grounds right now. You can't limit there only. So be as much vocal as possible about your ideas, and be at the same time don't be defendant. Just you're sharing your opinion. If you can do that, that slowly that resistance will, will go back, take back step, and your exploration starts beginning onto the picture, because you don't have to start reading books, or that is the next step of it. But there are peers around you, there are faculty around you, and if you can start discussing your very different unique opinion first in front of them, and not just one person, as many as possible, I think that will slowly lead to you to explore even better, even more.
There were a lot of questions. There were a lot of questions. I didn't realize there were so many. Okay, but I think I think more of these talks, if they happen, and maybe in a bigger group, things are debated not just among the faculty, but also with students. These kind of interactions will lead to better understanding, and maybe will teach better, or maybe will like we said, the title was shaping or teaching, so we'll shape better.
Any personal questions now that? Sorry, can I have a new questions if you have, which we think we didn't answer? Sorry, can you just post it back right now so we can quickly do that? I think we'll finish the meeting in the next 10 minutes. So please quickly, you can definitely
Okay,
type
Kuldeep
to us. So we can,
wanted to know what is the role of seniors in shaping up the juniors, also the role of teachers. When we were listing down these things, we had a plan of putting up points which are also relevant to teachers, but maybe then it becomes a little different, and maybe a different talk can be done where we can talk about specifically how teachers can do. Seniors definitely, a lot of what the new students perceive, the perceptions that they make is based on what the seniors tell them, not just about the subject, but also faculty and the college and everything. And, whether a particular subject is difficult or easy, or, whether architecture is, paying or not paying, is all the perceptions that they get from the seniors. And the role of the seniors is to see to it that, they understand the better, you know, of the student, what this perception is good, because they have gone through something. And I think none of these answers should be very objective, because they are to be realized by the students. They have to explore the answer to these questions. Yes, at some point Balaji sir has asked, isn't questioning the whole point of education in critical thinking? Yes, it is. Yes, it is, very, very clearly. But in fact, we have said that anything. We did mention that you have to accept whatever you should have belief in your faculty, and you should question if something is not clear. Yes, of course. So if you're doubting a faculty based on certain aspects, maybe you should question him first. That is, questioning has to be there. In fact, indeed, maybe somewhere it was not communicated.
I think Sapnam agrees to the point, one of the point we were talking about, students questioning the faculty about their doubts. I think Saja also put it. The question is, end of the day, the goal from students' perspective is they have to end up believing the task that they're doing, because there is a purpose for the task, right? So you do it by directly believing it because you accept it, not as we are not talking about slave kind of system, whatever you say, master. No, not that kind of system. You believe. If you didn't believe, you ask questions and you turn to a believer right now. If you still have questions, take out of the room, maybe discuss more and get it right. Because end of the day, you have to. Without that belief, the entire purpose will be lost. It will just be a submission, which we talked about in the first case. I think there were so many questions that are answered by Ranbir sir and Sapna ma'am right now. It's good. So basically, be stronger and do for yourself, man. This is something that you guys are passionate about, if not responsible. Like for me, money and time are going inside this. Take it. This is for you. Don't accept a mediocre product. If you're down, don't never accept, because you're paying the same amount of money as any other individual anywhere in the world right now for this particular education right now. You can't be so lenient in terms of education, especially this point of life. This is something that you might have heard from a longer time. 10th class is important, uske baad mast freedom milega, then PU is important, then engineering is, I don't know about where that starts from, where it goes, but career path, this is career path. Not only architect as a career path, any career option, this is a time that you be serious about it. And any last points? I think thank you very much, people, and especially students who are part of this. If you have any opinions that we shared, you don't like us opinions, especially whatever we shared today in the class, please write to us if you have a different opinion, because this will make us help understand the other facets that we might have missed till now. So for any faculties, especially who think what are the way of thinking that we presented today is little different from your side, if you can take little time and write to us, I've already put up the mail IDs of both the faculty. If you can quickly write us, it will help us. We'll try to document it. We will get in contact with you again to explore more on this particular topic. and there was, frankly speaking, it was we also feel there were so many topics that we want to discuss, maybe some other time, some other day. And really happy that you spent 1.5 hours of your Sunday with us. I hope this was a good use of your time, and we'll try to make it better if there's another opportunity given. And Mahan sir, really thank you for giving this particular approach of doing this dialogue series, and especially this topic, because we were, as Vivek sir wrote in his bio, so we have been talking about these topics on an informal basis regularly, but giving a platform also makes it much more challenging and worthwhile at the same time. So thank you very much, Mansur and Mysore School of Architecture, for giving us 5 years of experience of giving this varied possibilities that are happening at MSc, to even experiment, try, test, fail, but again get the results right. And without that, and the amount of faculty that were part of me as a design faculty, which I had a chance to work with many of them in the past 5 years, without them being with me, without me learning, I mean, whatever is me right now is because of all the people I work with. I would never say it's completely me, and because it's a constant change in me that's happening every day. And without these opinions are because of them being part of working together. Collaboration is the way to go, and I sincerely believe it. So thank you very much. Have a great day ahead. Vivek sir, you are on.
Yes, thank you everyone. Thank you for being here.